Hello, everybody, and for today's case, we do have a very sad one. It is about the murder of a son and a mother, Nylo, Lattimore, and Nytiesha. Um, it happened a few years ago, so maybe you've heard of it. I know I heard the names, but I don't ever think I actually heard the details of the case. Um, and because the names were familiar, I looked into it, and I'm shocked that I didn't know anything else. So I wanted to talk about their case today. So I just want to give a trigger warning because it's hard to listen to, and of course it involves a child, and I know that cases that involve children are just always harder. At least for me personally, they are. So I am giving you a trigger warning there. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into this. All the links I used for research will be down below, like always. On December 12th, 2020, on the banks of the Ohio River, a security guard found a bag with the body of Nytiesha Lattimore inside. She had been stabbed to death several days before, and her son, Nylo, at the time was 3 years old, had been thrown into the river's fast-moving currents. And who could have done this? It's a despicable act to take these two lives. So who could have done it? Well, we have an answer, and it's Deshaun Brown, who is Nytiesha's ex. So we're going to talk about Nylo and his mother, Nytiesha, first. So, in March of 2022, the family celebrated Nylo's 5th birthday, and the second without him there. Marlon Hunter, who is his uncle, says that Nylo loved cake and balloons and had an obsession with potato chips. He helped actually raise Nylo and Nytiesha. And this is actually a quote. He says, he loved TV, his little cartoons, and Sesame Street. Tisha, she was energetic, really smart. End quote. So, December 4th, 2020 was the last time the family even saw the two of them. And days later, Nytiesha was found stabbed to death, and Nylo's body couldn't be located, but prosecutors say his body was thrown into the river after Deshaun killed Nytiesha. Marlon says Deshaun and Nytiesha were dating, but then she broke up with him. Nytiesha was letting Deshaun stay at her apartment until he was able to find a place of his own, and Marlon thinks her willingness to be independent is what led to her death. We have another quote from Marlon, and Marlon says, she wasn't asking him for nothing. She wasn't leaning on him for anything, and I think that would have gotten to him mentally, that she didn't need him, end quote. Deshaun was arrested and indicted on 2 counts of aggravated murder, and his attorneys are fighting to get the death penalty dismissed if convicted. 3 doctors have evaluated him, as his defense is claiming that he is mentally ill. Prosecutors said 2 of the 3 doctors do not think that he has a mental illness, or does not think he has a mental illness, but the 3rd one does, so we have some conflicting accounts there. On August 31st, 2023, Judge Megan Shanahan, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, she heard testimony from all 3 doctors about their findings, and to make a ruling based off of that. If he was to be found mentally ill, the death penalty would be taken off the table. It's important to remember that Deshaun maintained that he had nothing to do with the killings, but prosecutors say her body was in her Walnut Hills apartment for several days before he then obtained a body bag and tried to throw her body into the river as well. He threw Nylo, while still alive, by the way, into the river, and his body was never found. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know how they can confirm that, but that is what they're saying. That he was still alive, not that he did it. Assistant prosecutor Seth Tiger said Deshaun chose the middle of the night to toss the 2 into the river and said, quote, he did appreciate the usefulness of his conduct. Seth Tiger, also said Deshaun knew what he was doing wrong because, and these are some points that they presented, Deshaun researched online how to clean up blood and then try to clean up the crime scene. He bought a body bag off of eBay for the body. He lied to an Uber driver who drove him to the river, saying the body bag was full with clothes and personal items. So Deshaun absolutely knew that what he was doing wrong because he was using every possible attempt to hide what he was doing. And I can't, for a minute, I just want to say, I cannot imagine being this Uber driver. This man gets in with a body bag that is obviously filled with something. And I'm being completely honest. If I was that Uber driver, I would have not given him a ride because that would have startled me, and then I would have called the cops. But he still gave him a ride. And the absolute confidence in yourself to take a body bag with a dead body in it into an Uber driver's car, like the absolute confidence that you're going to get away with that they're not going to be like so completely worded out, like that takes some balls, okay? And not in the good way. But moving on. So Seth Tiger also says that Deshaun did have a motive. A woman told police that he blamed Nytiesha for having a miscarriage and talked about killing Nylo in retaliation. So this is where I want to pose some questions. Does he sound guilty to you? Does he sound mentally ill? Well, let's continue. And I'm going to tell you what, at the hearing with the doctors, this is what happened. And I'm going to tell you some stuff from the doctor that believes that he is ill. So psychologist Kara Marcini, I believe this is how you pronounce her name, said that he does not have a serious mental illness. She said he has a history of, quote, behavioral disturbances related to a personality disorder, which is not considered a serious mental illness under the law. The other two testified that he has bipolar disorder, but one said it didn't affect his ability to know right from wrong. Carla Dreyer said he has a serious mental illness and his bipolar disorder, quote, impaired his ability to exercise rational judgment. And that is like taken from her direct quote. She acknowledged she made her finding without knowing some of the information that Seth Tiger had raised in court, including that the two were killed, possibly, on different days and taken to the river at different times. Judge Megan Shanahan ruled that he will continue to face the death penalty, finding that he was not suffering from a serious mental illness at the time. She said he may have bipolar disorder, but it didn't affect, quote, his capacity to exercise rational judgment or appreciate the nature, consequences, or usefulness of his conduct, end quote. And that ending quote was from Judge Megan Shanahan. So, given what I've just told you, do you think that he is guilty? Like, beyond reasonable doubt, do you think he's guilty? Do you think he has any mental illness in the way that it would have impaired him? Personally, no, I don't. I think the fact his actions in the days after it happened, yeah, it speaks volumes, and I don't think it was mental illness that caused him to do this, and I think he was just leaning on it. But I was still interested in hearing what your opinion would be on that. So, a trial date has not been set, and he faces charges of aggravated murder, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. So, we have no idea of the outcome yet. Obviously, I will be watching this case to see what happens. I will report on the trial as it happens and when we get an answer. So, I will keep you guys up to date. But unfortunately, this is all we have for now. I hope he gets the maximum sentence possible. Just the fact that if what that woman was saying was true, that he did this because he blamed Nytiesha for having a miscarriage, which is not her fault, and it's just gross to even do that anyway. And he killed Nylo in retaliation. That is just, it's disturbing beyond belief. Like, you took two innocent lives because you're a little bitch, is basically what I'm getting from him. He didn't want Nytiesha being independent, being her own woman, and he just could not stand that, so he had to take things into his own hands, and that is pathetic. So I hope he gets to serve a long, lengthy sentence for the rest of his life, personally. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think he is guilty? Do you think that any of these illnesses presented had any weight on what he did? Or do you think he's just using it as a crutch to try and get out of some of the harshness? Let me know your thoughts down below, like always. And thank you so much for listening to the story of Nylo and Nytiesha. Just in the photos, they looked so loving and they looked so sweet. And it's horrific to think that this happened to them, and I hope that justice will be served. But like I said, guys, I will present the trial to you when it comes. Thank you so much for listening to their story, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.